Chapter 4. You can go to sleep, you know. It's been a tough day, huh? Wolf wanted nothing more than to surrender to the waves of tiredness that threatened to suck him under. Jim's car was hot, and it was an effort to make conversation. I might have to. My eyelids keep collapsing. Jim laughed. Go for it, mate. I'll wake you in a couple of hours. Wolf shut his eyes and tried to settle. It was weird sleeping in front of someone or beside someone, and he couldn't let go. His mind was a video that kept replaying the accident, the bounce of Davy's chin and the panic of his parents. Wolf shifted in his seat, trying to escape the scenes, but there were other clips waiting to play in his new position. Davy lying in the hospital bed when Wolf called by after school. He'd had x-rays done and was waiting to go into surgery. Why aren't you off hunting? He'd demanded in a slurry voice. Supposed to leave soon. I don't want to go now. Don't be crazy. All that training? You can't pike out. Oh, hell, I feel bad about today, Wolf said. Get me a pig. Davy shut his eyes. I feel like crap. Can't keep my eyes open. Red and purple bruises were starting to appear on his chin, and there were crisscrosses of plaster strips where he'd split it open. Davy said, Do it, Wolf. Get me a pig. I'm going. I'll get you a pig, I promise. I'll bring you the tusks. Davy hadn't opened his eyes, but stuck one thumb in the air, and Wolf had grabbed it and given it a small shake. I promise, so hang in there, buddy. The car lurched into a tight bend and sweat broke out on Wolf's forehead. He thought he was going to spew, so he sat up and put the window down. You okay? Need me to pull over? Yeah, sorry, quick. Jim pulled up hard on the rough verge and Wolf threw the door open before he chucked up in the long grass. Stay as you are. I'm pulling further off the road. The car backed up a bit, and Jim pulled it around so the tail was well clear of passing traffic. Get out carefully, Jim called. There may be a drop. Wolf clambered out and moved into the darkness. He kept his left hand on the car to keep his bearings, and he threw up again. Have a rinse out. Jim thrust a plastic cup into Wolf's hands. I've got some ginger ale for you to drink too. It'll settle your stomach. I must have a bug. It'll be the shitty day bug. Jim poured himself a drink. Try and remember your parents said Davy was okay. Wolf felt tears fill up his eyes, and he was pleased for the darkness. He didn't answer. Your whole family's been worried about the crisis thing, and now it's finally happened. The good thing is, he's survived. Jim held up a brown bottle. Come round here when you're ready and have some of this. Wolf wiped his mouth and his eyes before he went to the back of the car. Jim had the boot up and he poured Wolf the ginger ale. The bubbles sprayed in his face as he gulped. Take your time. Wolf nodded. Are you worried about Davy? We can ring, you know. I feel bad that I've left him. There's nothing more you could do except sit by his hospital bed. You should enjoy this weekend and take back some stories. Yeah, I told him I would. Wolf glanced up at Jim. What are the chances of us getting the old-timer? Well, is there such a thing? Oh, yeah, there's several ancient pigs up there. I told Davy we'd get one. Did you? I promised I'd bring him the tusks. It cheered him up. Hell. Jim rubbed his chin and stared into the darkness. We've got some work to do then. 2 hours later, Wolf woke up as the car bounced over a rutted road. A small house, lit up by an outside light on the porch, sat in the full beam of Jim's headlights. There was a sound of dogs barking and straining at their leads. We're here. Take your time to wake up. A lady came out to meet the car, and Jim said, This is Rowena, and somewhere, here she is, her daughter Trina. Wolf slid up in his seat and tried to flatten his hair at the back. Rowena was a strong-looking lady with masses of dark hair bunched into the back of a woolen hat. Trina was good-looking with long hair that rolled into twists on the ends. The day kept slamming surprises. He climbed out of the car and shook hands with Rowena and Trina after wiping his palms down his jeans. He hoped there was no vomit smell left. Wolf's had a crap day. His brother had an accident, Jem was saying to Rowena. He had his arm around her waist and he kept pulling Rowena in closer. He's going to need a feed now and then sleep. We're leaving at 5 tomorrow morning. Rowena nodded and smiled at Wolf. Welcome. I've already left my coordinates on the kitchen board. We'll be out the back of Tucker's and I'll park at Kainga Flat. We're after a king. Can I come? Trina was holding the door to the house open and swinging on it at the same time. Her hair floated out behind her. What about me? Not this time, Jem said. This is Wolf's first hunt, and I think we'll make it just the two of us. Wolf didn't know whether to be relieved or sorry. Oh, what? I always bring luck, Trina said. Jem rolled his eyes at Rowena, and they laughed. Wolf decided he was relieved. She was confident. She'd show him up. I'm going to check the dogs and give them an extra biscuit before I go in. Do you want to meet the team, Wolf? There were 4 dogs in the kennels and Jem let them all out for a quick run. They zigzagged across the property, pissing and sniffing at various spots before they came to check out Wolf. A white dog with ugly red eyes leapt up and nearly knocked Wolf off his feet. Jet! Jem screamed at him and pushed him back into the kennels. He's only a pup, but I'm certain I've got myself a dud. We're not taking him tomorrow. He's been causing chaos. We're not taking you either, girl. Jem played with the floppy ears of a black lab before he put her back as well. She's coming on heat and she'll be a bloody distraction. Right. Wolf felt himself blush in the dark and Trina, who was standing beside Jem, sniggered. There were 2 dogs left outside to score the biscuits. This is Tag, my finder. He's reliable, a hard-working dog, aren't you, boy? Tag was mainly black with a sleek white streak that came down in a point between his eyes. He had a black and white bushy tail which he wagged in agreement. He's a bully greyhound, collie cross. Wolf didn't know what breed of dog that was, but he nodded in a way that suggested he'd come across them before. Tag had 1 black ear and 1 white ear, which made Wolf want to pet him. Tag growled deep in his throat when Wolf put his hand out. Give him the back of your hand to sniff. That's it. He'll remember you in the morning. And this, Jem turned to Pat, the other dog that had come out, is Ralph. Ralph the 6th, actually. Yep. Lots of hunters are superstitious, and perhaps I am too. I've always got to have a dog named Ralph with me. And a blue-handled knife, Trina said. Don't give away all my secrets. This is your 6th dog called Ralph? Wolf asked. Yeah, it's a tough life being a pig dog. Jem growled Ralph's nose and shook it. This dog's a legend. He's a bailer and a holder, and what's more, Jem leaned down and Ralph tried to slurp Jem's face. He tries to go for the snout. Snout holders are the rare gems, and this one is brave and smart. If you don't take Jet, you've only got 2 dogs tomorrow, Trina said. I know, it's not ideal, but Jet was hopeless in the bail-up last time. I don't want him along. Trina stroked Ralph's head. It puts these boys at risk. It does, but I'm going to get my money back on Jet, and I've ordered another dog. It doesn't arrive for 2 weeks. Jem pulled his keys out of his pocket. Give Tag and Ralph a biscuit. I'll back the truck up so they know they're going out tomorrow. Wolf held out a biscuit, and Ralph tipped his head on the side and ate it delicately out of Wolf's hand. Good boy, Wolf said. Tag stood waiting with his black ear cocked and his white ear dropped forward. Trina laughed. That's his party trick. Cool, huh? Go inside and show Wolf where he's sleeping, Jem yelled from the cab of the truck. He needs food. I know. Trina turned to wander back towards the house. Come on then. Wolf followed her, watching her scuff her Ugg boots across the wet grass. He liked the way she wore her jeans tucked into the sheepskin tops, and he tried to think of something to say. He drew a blank. Put your stuff in there, and here's the bathroom. Trina kicked 2 doors at the back of the kitchen, then left him to it. Come and eat when you're ready, she called over her shoulder. Would you like to sit at the table? Rowena asked Wolf when he came into the kitchen. She placed a bowl of thick hot soup and 2 slabs of homemade bread on the table. Wolf demolished 4 bowls of her soup. She seemed pleased. We might need extra sandwiches tomorrow, Jem said to Rowena. This young man has a serious appetite, and I could end up going hungry. Jem was sitting at the table checking through his pack. First aid, beanie. Wolf, have you got a beanie that pulls down over your ears? Yes. I've got binoculars since we're not taking a gun. What? No gun? Trina looked up from a small laptop she was playing on. Not this time. But you can't go without a gun. What if you see a deer? No, Trina, not this time, Jem said again. It's my parents' fault, Wolf said. They think guns are dangerous and that we might shoot each other or something pathetic. Guns are dangerous, Rowena said. Your parents are right that plenty can go wrong if they aren't treated with respect. They should trust Jem. They didn't want me to go hunting because they never take risks, Wolf said. Your parents are overwhelmed with things at the moment, Jem said. For this hunt, we're leaving the gun behind and sticking with pigs. Ha ha, I get the pun, Trina said, and they all laughed. Yes, well, let's hope we do stick one. Jem dipped into his pack again. I've got rope, extra clothes, food and drink we collect tomorrow morning along with a camera to get some photos for Davy. Who's Davy? Trina looked up again. Wolf's brother. How come he's got a normal name and you're called Wolf? Wolf's a normal name, Jem started to say, but Wolf laughed and shrugged his shoulders. Nah, Wolf's not normal. It could have been worse, though. I was born on Mozart's birthday. My mum's a musician and she was going to call me Amadeus, but she settled for Wolfgang at the last moment. Whoa, lucky break. Trina went back to her laptop. We won't take much water, Jem said. There's plenty of streams and I've got filters for the bottles. We don't want to carry too much. Amadeus means love of God and Wolfgang means... Wait. Trina scrolled down her page. It means travelling wolf. She gave a nod of approval. That's a good omen for hunting. Both names might be appropriate if we run into trouble, Jem said as he zipped his pack up. Right, you need to crash out if we're leaving at 5. Can you set your alarm for 4:30? Yeah, I'll set my phone. No point in taking your phone, by the way. There's no reception. That's what I hate about hunting, Trina said. So much could happen and you wouldn't know. Yeah, imagine waiting a whole 2 days to find someone said, "What's up?" and you weren't able to reply. Nothing. How terrible to miss that, Jem said with a grin at Trina. Phones can save lives, she said in a defensive tone. Not if you haven't got reception. Smithy's got a PLB and he says, Smithy's got more money than me. Jem stood up and kissed Trina on the head. I'm off to bed. He looked at Wolf. See you just after 4:30. Wolf went to his little room out the back and sat on the narrow bed. He checked on his phone to see what a PLB was and found that it was a personal locator beacon. He wondered who Smithy was. There was an oval mirror on the wardrobe door opposite his bed and Wolf saw that he didn't look like a hunter. He straightened his back and planted his feet more squarely. There was a reassuring buzz from his phone as a text came in. I'm okay, jaw not broken, hard to text with wrist in plaster, home tomorrow, catch the big one, Yvette. Ah, good. Wolf breathed out and eased his neck. He figured Davy wouldn't be texting if he were at death's door. Okay here, good food, girl our age, giving her easy 8. We'll try hard for a pig. Flow.